Hello,
Hi there,
Kayla Lords
John Brownstone.
of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. What do I say every week? How do I forget it every week? I don't know. Uh, this week, we are answering a question from an inexperienced submissive who is not sure what to do now that they are newly single. Okay, let's get into the question. I met a Dom by accident on Tinder. He suggested I look into BDSM, DS Dynamics, all of it before we went any further. We went out while I was researching, so the connection for me grew. We went out for about 2 months before he ended things, and we didn't get to any of the BDSM stuff. We had sex maybe 3 times, and choking was the only non-vanilla thing we did. Anyway, I'm now here. Things have just ended. I never got to experience a true DS dynamic or romantic relationship of any kind. I feel the BDSM lifestyle would be good for me, enabling me to give up control, not worrying about everything all the damn time, and just an overall relief of decisions, duties, etc. I know there's more to BDSM and a DS lifestyle than that. I just haven't gotten into it all. We went through the menu of items, but never talked about a contract or what we could potentially add. I was introduced to the Obedience app. Should I continue and try to find a Dom that would want a 99% newbie sub, or maybe a mentor of sorts? Do I just keep with vanilla and not worry about doing anything specifically BDSM anymore? Do I go solo and train to be a sub on my own while trying to find the right Dom for me? I just don't know where to go from here.
A lot of options.
You can do any and all. There's no right answer.
Exactly. You have an ability at the moment with the way life has presented it to you. You could go and just go to workshops and learn what you want to learn what you're interested in. The very first thing that came to mind reading this question, if you have the availability of any BDSM clubs that you can go to, you can go to a club, and most clubs do have the ability to negotiate for pickup play. And if masochism is something that you're would like, that's a good way to try different things. And not be tied down in a sense, but get your feet wet and see what you like. Knowing what you like and what you want out of DS is going to go a long way to finding yourself a Dom when you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. What are words? I agree completely. That is what I'm trying to say. A few things come to mind. So first of all, in order to make this decision for yourself, one question I have is how much of your inner self is thinking about the power exchange and the kink that you want. Is it a thing where you're kind of ambivalent? Well, then do what feels kind of like, just do whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you are feeling a pull towards submission and a potential, power exchange in the future, then you don't have to give up on it. You don't have to actively go look for another Dom either. Now you can, try. You could try kinky dating apps. Field is one that's very open to kink.
Floor, I think, is another.
Maybe so. You can do that. You can do specifically kink stuff to meet specifically kink people, or you can just kind of put some stuff in your profile of the non-kink apps that you might be on. Feel free. The thing, though, that I recommend for anybody kinky, but especially an inexperienced submissive, I want you to worry less at this point in finding a dominant partner and focus on finding a kinky community. You might find your next, kinky BFF. You might find a partner, but what you will absolutely do is have people around you who can maybe you can bounce ideas off of. Maybe you can just learn from them. Maybe you just have support when you're looking for play or a romantic partner.
Sometimes
later.
It's good to have people validate you in the things that you like, with BDSM being, kind of on the fringe of things. When you have, a group of friends that validate the things that you like, that can go a long way too.
And if you you find the right kind of friends and and develop that relationship, you will also hopefully have friends who will tell you, you are ignoring red flags, my friend, or you are in the middle of sub frenzy and something unsafe could happen. But it's not just about finding like your kink BFF. It's about learning more about yourself as a kinkster, more about BDSM in general, potentially more about power exchange, without the pressure of a relationship that you quote, need to have it work out or not, right? Community and the opportunity for education and just seeing how other people do things, in my opinion, is going to make you much better prepared for any potential dominance you might meet in the future, wherever you meet them, on an app, online, in person. Now, if you live in an area that's either a major metropolitan area or in a region that is close to a major metro area, you will absolutely have access, more than you realize, to munches, workshops, dungeons, stuff like that. If you live in a more rural area, you'll have to think more regionally to see what's out there. You might also just be surprised at what's out there, even in a small area. But the online kink community is just as legitimate. It's different, right? It's different than in person. But that's always an option, to just go be out where other kinky people are and see what kind of conversations you get into.
And a shameless plug, we have a wonderful Discord server that has a lot of wonderful people in there, and is an amazing community in and of itself.
And that is available through our Patreon, if you are so inclined. But, I can't tell you, we can't tell you, should you go seek a dom, should you just keep it vanilla? What is it that you ultimately want? Not what do you think is feasible or possible. And I say that because it is very easy to believe, especially after a failed attempt with a kink partner, that was it. That was your one shot. Nobody else is out there. And or it will always go like it did this time. That is not necessarily true. But especially as a submissive, while you're single, do what JB said at the top. Focus on learning what you can learn. You're going to be better suited to negotiations in the future if you have an idea of, I've seen this, I've heard about that. Maybe you experience some things as a bottom and not just as a submissive. I know I like this. I know I'm curious about that. You're going to have a sense of how you want to be treated by watching how other doms treat their subs, by interacting with people who you're not trying to be a partner with, but maybe you respect them. Maybe you find the people you don't respect and you're like, I see this kind of behavior. I've witnessed it. I've watched other people go through it. I know what I'm not going to accept now. But ultimately, that's your decision. What kind of pull and draw do you feel towards it? Does it feel currently too difficult to think about being a single submissive? That's valid too. Sometimes you just need a break from it. Sometimes you need to be like, okay, I'm not even going to worry about kink right now. I'm just going to go get the rest of my life sorted for a hot minute. And if it comes back up, it comes back up. That's always an option as well. In response to, can I even find a dom who wants a mostly new submissive? Abso-fucking-lutely. Dominants, like any other group, are not a monolith. So there will be some dominants out there who only want to play with an experienced person, who, they don't want to go through that process. There are some doms who genuinely like, being with newer submissives. Caveat, be careful with the type of dominant who only ever wants to be around people who don't know what they're doing. Because, yes, plenty of those people are legitimate, but that is where predators will also be lurking, because they're banking on inexperience to get what they want. So keep that in mind. That's not to say that every dom who, it wants a new, an inexperienced sub is a bad one. No. I mean, I have come across some people who are like, yeah, then the theory being, if you are new to submission, then I can teach you what I like, and we don't have to unlearn some habits that are not beneficial to the relationship. But I'm just saying, just be careful.
Right.
Just be careful.
Yep.
But ultimately, what is it that deep down in your soul, your gut, your psyche, pick
What is
your
that
spot?
telling you?
What is it you want? And then it's legitimate no matter what it is. But if your fear is you'll never find somebody else again,
no, don't. It's
the more typical luck is you'll find somebody and they will live several time zones away from you, across an ocean, across a country, across a continent. But you don't know what's out there. So if you're gonna stick with the kink side of things, focus on yourself and learning what you can about what submission means to you. so that you have a level of maybe not lived experience, but like witnessing things and workshop learning. You have a level of confidence when you do come across that person who might make a good dominant partner. Our basic philosophy is go find friends first.
Yeah.
If they become a partner later, great, but that's never the goal. You just, because ultimately, I think if you're looking for a long-term relationship as a kinkster, you want to like them as a friend. So when you go out into the kink community and you just focus on what you can learn as being a submissive and the community you can find, you find friends, and maybe something happens and maybe something doesn't, but ultimately I think you're a better kinkster for it.
And I just want to touch on something real quick, just to one of the things that was mentioned in this, was maybe a mentor. I know there is the camp that does not like mentors at all, and the other side that says, yeah, having a mentor is a good thing. And I'm kind of the mentors can be good camp. But what I would say as a submissive, if you really want a mentor, find a submissive mentor. Okay. A dominant mentor, not the worst thing in the world, but they are going to basically teach you what they know
And what they like.
Not to say that's not going to happen also with a submissive to a certain extent, but as a submissive yourself, it will help you figure out who you are as a submissive, what and it is wonderful having that support system.
Right. Now, I am of the camp that if that's what you want and and that works for you, great. I'm of the camp you don't fucking need a mentor. You don't. You need a community. You need access to resources that can be trusted. That's what you need. If a mentor fits into that and the vibe is right and you vet them just like you would vet a partner,
Sure.
you ask
Yes.
them questions and you pay attention to patterns of behavior and do their words and their actions align, all of that for sure. So do you need one? No. If you've come across somebody or if that feels important to you, great. But make sure they are who they say they are. And, see if you can contact people they worked with in the past. Like, just make sure they're legit, because sometimes they're not. But again, that all comes down to what feels right to you in the moment. And then remember, you might follow that path of this is what I think I need and discover it's not quite right. You get to change your mind at any point. Okay, you get to completely withdraw from the kink community at any point. You get to stop using the vanilla apps at any point. You get to go down the path of seeking a mentor and go, yeah, maybe not, at any point.
Right.
Okay, you are not trapped in a single path or lane or choice when it comes to this.
This is your journey, and the road is going to diverge however you see fit that it does for you.
Exactly. So how do y'all see it? What do you think? What have you done in the past? What would you do? What has been your experience as somebody in a similar position? Feel free to share in the comments below. If you enjoy this, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And go ahead and ring that notification bell to get updates and new content.
Just do what Daddy says. And as JB mentioned earlier, we do have a Discord server that is available through our Patreon for as little as $2 a month. If you'd like to help us keep being weirdos on the internet who rant and rave about power exchange and, get access to a chill, welcoming, non-threatening kind of kink community, feel free to join us over on Patreon. Links are down below.
And one more quick plug. Probably 30 days of DS.
The last 10 seconds of the video. Links down below.
Right. Okay.